All right, while I get this rolling, um, setting up the realm, I just want to put this out there that this is a no AI channel, so I'm not using any AI for anything. I feel like why even do that, you know? Um, and that being said, I'm just a human, but this is exactly what this video is about, based on the title you could tell. That there's some things that you need in life that's really important, and it's three things. But two I'm gonna reveal right now, and the third I'll save for the end of the video. But the first thing, right, is you need accountability. So accountability comes first before all the other ones, right? You need to be self-aware. I don't care who you are, what disabilities you have, what difficulties you have. You the first thing and the only thing that you need first to start where you need to go is accountability. It will bring you back to center. It will tell you what you need, what you don't need, because you're keeping account. You're keeping awareness to yourself that spreading it to a bunch of people won't ever help you get. So it starts with you, and that's why, accountability, a lot of people just assume they have that by default. You can if you're operating with that first and foremost in mind. So that's why I say think about it then. Just think about it. If anybody could do it, then good. But you just have to be able to be doing that first. Alright, so then second thing. It's basically responsibility, but it's even better, right? It's deadlines. No matter what it is that you're doing in life, you only have two factors, the space and you got time. So the one thing you can control more than your space is your time. So that's why you need to set deadlines in the first place, because it's powerful and it actually forces you to do certain things. Because let's just say you're trying to stop a certain behavior, or let's say you're trying to start a behavior. Either way, the behavior requires one thing, time, right? And then one day you're gonna be like, oh, I need something more expensive, or this and this and that. You're gonna like make an excuse to go along with the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. And it might be something else. But the point is you could have all of that, right? But you have to take account. Are you keeping track of the goals that you've been setting? And then when you set another one, did you get to it or did you wait? And now you have all this space in between of all these other behaviors that you're doing besides the one that you're trying to prioritize in the first place. The whole point is that what is it that you're trying to do, wanting to do? Because sometimes, yes, we want things that we can achieve in life, but we don't even get there. So to know what we want is easy. I feel like that comes before the whole process. You wouldn't even click on this video if you didn't want things in life. But that's because, you're trying to find the three things that best describe what you need to do in life, like to move forward with what you want, as goals especially, like it's things that are like achievable. You have to have first self accountability is pretty much for everything. Second thing, you're gonna need to set deadlines. And it's not for other things in your life, basically. It's for you. It's for what you're trying to do, right? It's that you're setting a goal, and that goal is achievable. And then the next goal that you set is also achievable. And each goal that you set has to have a deadline. And it's not some overarching goal. It's more like small goals that have specific results that you're looking for in life. Results. If you want something that's way out of reach, it just goes to show how you're probably not going to get there. It's out of reach. But if you're trying to achieve everything within your power, then you could do it, obviously. It's just gonna take some discernment before step 0, you know, making sure that you have a goal that's worth achieving, or you have basically something in life that at the end of it all is worth it. You need quality to it. But the getting there is just whatever it is. So what is the third and most important thing after all of that? Because you have the first thing, you would just basically live a life of just like frustration. You'd be like, I'm doing all this, but why? You might stop midway easily. Because you could set deadlines and goals for other things. Why this? Remember, this is something you wanted to do, okay? This is why you're going for it. And then, you know, that was like your step 0 was having a thought, right? And you could stop a lot of the process at step 0, you know? But the accountability part, right? If you're keeping yourself accountable in every other part of life as well, you know, you're gonna notice like, oh, I didn't spend enough time doing this thing that I wanted to do. Or you know, I had time and I was just doing something else, and you know, I still want to do all these other things, right? But I don't know how to get these things done. I feel like I don't have enough time or something. That's why I said step 2 was the deadlines. If you do the deadlines, you're not gonna run out of time. You're gonna find that running out of time is the opposite. It's basically if you had all day to finish one task, you probably the thing would be, can you even just finish the task? How hard is doing the task? And that's your answer right there. But to obstruct it and to say like, oh, I don't know, it's gonna be 5 days before I get the will and urge to do whatever I'm thinking about doing. Then it's like, no, you're not you're not gonna achieve your goal like that. You're basically waiting on the conditions that already exist for you. And that's the whole point of why these goals probably are achievable in the first place, and you're missing out. And you feel that almost like loss, that grief. And it's because there's like the other side of the gate that you're just not trying to pull yourself up over. You get stuck. But you still gotta get over it. Or walk around it. Either way, you know, just complaining that the gate is impossible and then seeing other people do it, like, I don't know, with sheer luck sometimes. It just seems like sheer luck. They're just so blessed with this and that. So what did I say was the third thing? I didn't even get to it. You know why? Because the third thing that you've been waiting the whole video for was faith. That's what you want. And that's what you want out of your goals. You want the goals to feel like, I feel good for doing this. You know? It's just like, it's purposefully living at that point. You know, it's knowing that you started it with intent and you can end it with some intent. And that intent is not reliant on waiting on any more conditions. Is that the conditions are here, I can achieve them in a set amount of time, and then I will see how I feel about it during the process and basically experience the process. I'm gonna experience it and not judge myself for what I haven't experienced. Because if you want to, then you'll get there. But you don't have to. You don't have to do most of these things to reach the goals that you're looking for. Like, you don't have to go to the Olympics to be an Olympiad type level of athlete. It would help because you're gonna get all these resources, right? But these people didn't get that all at once. They didn't wait until they didn't get Nepo babied into being an Olympian. So it was a lot of all the 1 and 2s, the 1 and 2s, the 1 and 2s. But the 3 of faith, that was basically a shot in the dark for most of these people. and they didn't know that they were gonna do this for sure. Like they might have felt it in the back of their heart that like, yeah, this is, you know, this is what I was made to do. We don't get the like actual answer of our purpose of life, right? So when you have to have faith in anything, right? You're basically throwing yourself into it. Like you can't not exist as you experience life sometimes. And sometimes we just want to disassociate, but you can't. And that's what makes it so like crucial what you really choose to do in life. And then you learn these lessons. Like if you don't realize that as an overarching message, you're gonna see it in everything that you do, but you're just gonna miss out. Because you have to act. Like at some point the body rejects inactivity, and it rejects like incapabilities, and it just shows you capability like over and over and over. And then yeah, we use capabilities for other things sometimes, but you can co-opt both. You don't have to get rid of everything, but you just have to learn to like achieve what you do want to achieve by basically disrupting the bad behaviors with a sense of urgency. In that urgency, it can stop everything. Like, you know, when you feel urgent and you actually feel like you gotta get up out of bed, then you do it. But when you usually don't, and you just want to stay in bed, it's all the perfect conditions to just stay in bed some days. I'm not saying, like, don't get sleep. Get sleep. Please get sleep. In fact, pay attention to how you sleep. But these things, again, that's accountability. That has partially to do with faith, but you can control that. You can control trying to sleep. And then the faith part is especially if you don't have good sleeping conditions, or if you basically you can't change your environment. Think about that. If you can't change your environment, sometimes it just feels worthless, like to continue on in the same path that you've been walking. Why keep walking the same path? Because it's not a wall everywhere. If you hold left on the wall, on the labyrinth, in the labyrinth, if you understand what I'm talking about, like a maze, if you were in a maze, they say, right, I'm just gonna say they say, like it's almost like a math theorem, okay? They say that you will get out the maze. If you just hold left or you just hold your hand to the right wall. Either way, is unless you're on an island in that single block room, the maze part solves itself. So that's my advice to you, is that you just need to just stay put, you know. Don't change up the formula. You could discover the formula. Basically, that's the step zero, right? You could discover a good formula. But accountability is like continuing on that path and seeing what it means, you know, what you can't just like think about something sometimes. You have to actually experience it. And then when you do experience it and you don't mean to experience it, you can start to realize that's bad accountability in the future if I do it again. It's and then the deadlines, how does a deadline fit into something like that? It's that you start that goal now. Whatever that is that you're trying to do, that's your first deadline is the start date, right? And then you just usually things are much easier to do than you think. So then you start at that very moment, and then how long does it take? Probably like less than 20 minutes, 30 minutes. But other things they take like an hour. Some things they take like 4 hours, depending on the seriousness of the goal. And those are usually like 4 hour jobs. They're not the same tedious task. They're usually showing you like, all right, this little goal has to be done. This other little goal has to be done. And unless it takes your full attention, then you have time in between, I feel like. And that time in between is gonna basically remind you that you could do something else. Things that things that you need versus things that you want there's a very fine line sometimes. Remember that. To get some motivation for your life, right? And sometimes we'll find out what we need by wanting it, achieving it, and realizing it wasn't worth it. But you gotta get there sometimes. You just gotta get there in the first place. And you'll get answers, but you'll also get like questions in life. And that, but don't let those questions deviate so far from the initial goals that you wanted in your life. Keep those goals, whatever it was. You could have been 5 years old when you made these goals. Keep these goals central in your life because they might just tell you who you are fundamentally without having to go through anything. So yeah, that's my entire advice to you. I'm not gonna wait till the server closes to finish this message. You got it. 3 things: accountability, some deadlines, and some faith. There you go. If you skip to the end to hear that, you're a goose. But that's it. So have a very blessed day.